Hello and welcome to everyone to our Suisse Romande Innovation Podcast. My name is Lisa Neddam. I lead our business organization in Suisse Romande, and today I'm very, very happy to welcome Wolfgang Hildesheim, who is one of our AI gurus in Europe. Wolfgang, welcome. Thank you for being with us.
Welcome, Lisa. Glad to be with you on this podcast, and welcome to everybody listening to our podcast today.
Thank you, Wolfgang. You've probably heard this sentence before. Necessity is the mother of innovation. And I think we all agree that these days necessity is very palpable. It's very visible all over the place. We're going through an unprecedented situation, and there is a lot of innovation happening in the midst of the chaos and the troubles and the challenges. And I really wanted to welcome you on this podcast today to share one example of what I believe is a great innovation with us today that relates to this COVID-19 situation. The story you're going to tell us a little bit about is around AI, artificial intelligence, and in particular around an Infobot, a so-called Infobot. Maybe we can start with you telling us a little bit about, what an AI-Infobot is.
Yeah, so maybe one step back to the necessity you talked about. When the COVID crisis emerged, there were so many questions about what is this virus about, what can I do, where are the risks, and all the regulations, for instance, in Germany or across Europe, every city, every government had new rules. So it was a confusing and very quickly developing situation. And so there was a big need of accurate, high quality and daily updates about the information around COVID and what you can do. And so a lot of regular and very frequent questions came up, and this is the area where AIInfobot lives. And Infobot stands for information and bot for bot, roboter, so automated smart assistant you can chat with, and then you can ask a question around COVID, what you can do, what you should do, and then you get an automated answer. So Infobot is a kind of chatbot, so automating your chats and your messages like in WhatsApp or in SMS around the topic of COVID. It is more than a chatbot because it is calling and aggregating important information from the ministry in Germany, from the Robert Koch Institute, from researchers. So it's really collecting and aggregating important information. So it's doing a lot of the knowledge management for you, and that's why we call it an Infobot and not a chatbot. So, and the project we are going to talk about is the 11.7 Infobot of the General National German Patient Service.
Thank you so much, Wolfgang. And as you already mentioned, this is not a theoretical idea. It's actually something that has been put into practice and is running live today in Germany, as you said. Can you tell us a little bit about how this project started and the type of questions that the German government and the institutions were trying to answer for the citizens?
Yeah, so the Society of All Health Insurances in Germany is called KBV, Kassenärztliche Vereinigung Bund, and they run big call and service centers. If you have a question around COVID, or you want to get a test, or you want to know, do I have COVID or not, all these important questions, then a lot of people call the 11.6, 11.7 call center. And at the beginning of the crisis until today, this call center is under heavy load, and they cannot answer a lot of the questions because the waiting time is too long. And that's why the frequent and general questions have been automated with the Infobot, and you get 24 hours, 7 days a week. In the night, you get answers. And so a call load is taken off the call center, and the patient satisfaction is going up, because for a lot of their questions they get direct answers. And you all listeners of the podcast, I really encourage you to go on the 11.6, 11.7 homepage in the internet, where our 11.6, 11.7 Infobot is live, and you can check it out yourself. And independent of the industry you work in, you can learn what today artificial intelligence based service assistant can do, because this is a very nice example, and it is more or less the same technologies in all industries for all products or services. So you can use this to automate your customer service. So that's why it's important that you check it out yourself. Go on the 11.6, 11.7 homepage and ask some questions and see how it performs.
We will include the link in the comment section of this podcast so that everyone can find this website. And I agree, Wolfgang. I think the best thing is probably to see it for yourself. But I do think that if our Swiss listeners are going on the website, they will obviously see that today's version of this particular Infobot is on German. And they might ask themselves, well, would this be possible to do in French, in Italian, in English? As you know, our Swiss citizens are multilingual. So how do we address this? Could such an Infobot speak several languages?
Yes, of course, you can develop Infobots in all kind of questions, in particular in the three, in Suisse Romande, Français, English, and Deutsch. You could answer questions in all these languages. It's supporting all three languages. And that's not a problem. And important is that you understand what the technology can do. It can answer easy and frequent questions. You can train it, so you can monitor what the people are asking, and then you improve. It is learning from the questions, and the team of the KBV is then improving actually the answer quality. And so that today we have more than 95% precision here, and it's independent of the language. You can do that.
Thank you, Wolfgang. And maybe going back to this particular point you just mentioned, which is the training of the algorithm of the system. For those listeners on the call who are not yet familiar with artificial intelligence, could you try and maybe explain in simple words how that training works and what the magic trick, in quoting marks, is with machine learning and AI?
Yeah, so the magic trick is called intent-driven chatbot. So for instance, you want to ask, what is COVID-19? So you want to learn about it. And if you type it in the Infobot, you will see you get an answer and the typical symptoms, a table of the symptoms, and how it compares with the normal cold. And you see that the typical dry cough and fever are really the typical symptoms of COVID, and not body pain and not other symptoms. So you learn about it. And to train this, the Infobot must understand that the intent is actually COVID, what it is. So the definition of COVID-19, the virus. And once the AI is understanding that this is the intent, it can then display the right answer. And the advantage of intent-driven technology is that you have a big variety of questions which lead to the same answer. So you can ask, what is Corona? Or I want to learn about COVID-19. Do you have a definition of the virus? What are typical symptoms? So you see, there are 5 different questions, all leading to the same answer. And this space of questions is defining a pattern. And here artificial intelligence comes into place and is trained on the pattern of the information space of the questions. And this can be trained, and that's why for a lot of different questions, you always find the right answer. And rule-based technologies could not do this. It would take much too much time to train it and would take too long. So you can answer in a quicker and better way questions about certain intents. And that's why intent-driven technology is actually the heart of leading chatbots, like the Watson assistant from IBM.
This is very interesting, and I'm assuming, but please correct me if I'm wrong, that the value is that effectively, instead of having maybe a multiple choice questionnaire where you impose certain questions on your audience that lead to certain answers, here you're really encouraging citizens to formulate their own questions. As you said before, many questions, as they're understood, may lead to the same answer, but they really get to ask their questions in their own words. And I could imagine that beyond providing an easier user experience, it's also a very powerful way to gather and gather questions to understand what people are concerned about. And so as it keeps learning, you're probably able to, based on the questions, on the open questions that are being asked by the citizens, you're able to improve the level of data and information you're providing. So
yeah, you are absolutely right, Lisa. So the advantage of such an Infobot is that it's collecting and monitoring the questions of the citizens, of the potential patients. And so you can adapt the capabilities of the Infobot to the questions. For instance, at the beginning of the crisis in January, February, everybody wanted to learn about the symptoms, where you can test. And after 2-3 months, the people, when the discussion came to the mask, the people wanted to learn what kind of masks are existing, what is the typical price, where do I need to wear it. And now, over the last weeks, the rules, which shops are closed, what kind of party is allowed. All this is changing now on a regular basis, and that's why if you check it out on your computer, the 11.6, 11.7 Infobot is crawling every night automatically the key pages of the ministry, the German Ministry of Health, or, for instance, in terms of medical research, the Robert Koch Institute, which is the leading responsible organization to really deal with all science-related facts around the virus. So these pages are crawled by the Infobot automatically. So on the next morning, if you ask what kind of vaccine is available, you will learn about it, and it is displayed, and you are not forced to go on 10 different internet pages to learn what is now the rule in my area, what kind of medical treatment. All is actually automatically included in the Infobot through the crawling. We call this a knowledge navigation, knowledge exploration capability, which is done through the Watson Discovery Service, our service who helps you to read automatically text and other internet pages. So it is saving time for you. It's a tool reading for you and saving your time and presenting you more aggregated information about the more rare and complex questions.
That's fascinating and quite impressive, obviously, that it keeps learning, that it keeps evolving, and as you pointed out, that it automates a lot of the processes that save time, and effectively in today's situation, time is critical. Information changes so quickly. I can't imagine for our listeners, kind of picturing the solution. One question may come up. this automation and automatic learning is very powerful, but what about their personal data? Some people may be concerned to ask questions that, could lead to some kind of conclusions that they may be sick, and that information may be shared with other providers. Can you tell us a little bit about data privacy in that context?
Yeah, this is an excellent question, Lisa. And the project 11.6.11 started in the IBM public cloud in Frankfurt, and all information which initially was displayed was public data, so no privacy issues, because all information were already out in the internet, and that's why the initial solution was implemented with on the public cloud. And very quickly we went productive with the first version after 2-3 weeks. Now, when the solution is maturing and further developed, you can include personal and confidential data as well, right? So, for instance, if you want to learn now, do I get a vaccine? You need to enter maybe a certain medication you are taking, your age, personal information, so that the organization can decide, are you allowed to be in the first group of people who get a vaccine, right? And this type of process would be a typical process based on private data, and so this part of the Infobot then would be implemented in your private data center behind your firewall, where all is fully protected and GDPR compliant according to the European Data Protection Regulation. And this is actually the path we are going with this client. It's not productive yet. So if you check out the solution today, so the check whether you get vaccine or not is not implemented yet, but it would be a very typical example of private information, and it's the direction we are heading to. Probably you see every night in the 8 o'clock news that the vaccine program is now the major discussion. So this will be the next step, fully possible, and your data would be fully protected, and it can be automated in an efficient way, so that a lot of people get the vaccine in time and properly. And without software, this would be very hard.
Yeah, this is really interesting. And I think for me, very important to remember these different options that you just mentioned, right? It's the ability to deploy first pilots on the public cloud, which, by the way, is also GDPR compliant, right? But if an organization feels like they would be more comfortable having the data on their own data center in their own premises, if they have specific regulations applying to it, at any point in time, it can be parts of it or all of it can be moved to a private infrastructure. And so often we do talk about hybrid infrastructures, and this is a really good example of it to address the different scenarios. Thank you so much, Wolfgang. I think we could keep talking about this probably for hours. And this podcast was really just to give a glimpse of this use case. And we hope that our listeners will be interested in pursuing it further and getting more information. And so my last question would be, how can people get started? If you had 3 recommendations for our listeners today who would like to engage in such a project or at least explore it, what would those recommendations be?
Yeah, the first recommendation can be that, of course, you can more or less copy this kind of solution around COVID-19 for your public organization, Suisse Romande, or your company, so that you can use it directly. That's not too complicated. On the other side, the used solution and technology is very appropriate for Switzerland and to provide another channel for your clients and partners in all type of industries. Switzerland is very, very well known worldwide for the high quality of the product, because everything is very well thought through and provided with a lot of care. and attention. So this high quality service and product can be explained and maintained, and services can actually be made based on this technology, so that you can export and scale your business based on such a channel. So and you should check it out. That's a very nice way for smart assistance and services around your business, independent of the industry you are in. And we actually can provide you information and material how to build these service bots, or you call us and then we discuss with you how to start. Important to do it in small steps, step by step, and so that you have capabilities regularly coming up, and you are becoming better and better, and you are happy with what you get, and then you start what we call an AI-based transformation of your business. And this is what I would recommend. Go step by step in little baby steps, and then you will see it's not rocket science, and very well available, and can help you in your business.
Thank you, Wolfgang. And I think, as you said, for Switzerland, it is highly relevant. It is a country where we have different languages, different cantons with different regulations. So having an assistant that helps gather the up-to-date data and respond to questions in real time is, I think, very, very powerful. And as you said, it is not just a use case for public organizations or infrastructures. It's actually something that could be easily replicated within any organization. A company may want to build a similar Infobot for their employees, for their clients, for their customers, for their suppliers. So I think we all understood that the starting point is, if you have questions, the need to answer them quickly at any time, with up-to-date information in multiple languages maybe, then this is definitely something that you should consider. And so if you want to find more information about this particular AI-Infobot use case, as we said before, we will include the link to the actual 11.6, 11.7 application that runs live in Germany. We will also include the link to a YouTube video showing a demo and going a little bit deeper into the details. And Wolfgang and myself, we are available to you for any questions. So we're looking forward to engaging with you. And Wolfgang, I'd like to thank you very, very much for joining us today. This was very interesting, and hopefully we'll be able to welcome you back in another webcast or podcast very soon.
Yeah, thank you for the time, and all the best, and my greetings here from Hamburg in the north of Germany. Bye-bye, Lisa.
Thank you, Wolfgang. Bye, everyone.